Cyborg, it's a really cool, memorable movie. If not more of a guilty pleasure from my childhood, I'll own it.
Ho, ho, ho! It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Merry Christmas!
Okay, Kung Fu Chronicles, Sifu Quasi in the building. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, Kwanzaa, all of that good stuff. Oh, and Happy New Year too. 2023 coming in hot, hopefully for you. New things are going, yes? Okay, so off the cuff video today. Off the cuff video today. And I'm doing this one mainly as a tribute, okay? Now every once in a while, you guys know, I'll go ahead and review a martial arts movie, and usually they're the current ones. But a few weeks ago, the director Albert Pyun passed away. Now wait, you're saying, who's Albert Pyun? For a lot of you newbies, I get it. But he directed some A-class B-rated movies, if there are such a thing. I mean, top-notch B-rated stuff, but really at the highest level. Things like Arcade, Captain America.
No, not that one.
And yeah, the Jean-Claude Van Damme classic, Cyborg. Okay, 1989 is the exact year this thing came out. Starring folks like Van Damme, as I said already, Deborah Richter, Vincent Klein, Ralph Muller, and you probably know him from movies like Gladiator.
We wait here for you, Maximus.
Or some other stuff, and many more. Cyborg was definitely a movie that was not meant to win awards, okay? I'll give you that. Maybe a Razzie.
Oh my gosh.
But it has a unique style and feel to this thing, okay? As a kid, I loved and adored this movie, while most people gravitated towards some of Van Damme's classics, like Kickboxer, Bloodsport, Lionheart, Time Cop, and the rest. Those are all great. Cyborg was just my jam. I even owned it on Laserdisc. Yep, don't judge me, Laserdisc, all right? Look it up.
Anyway.
Now, quick history on this movie. Canon Films distributed it, and originally it was called Slinger. Albert Pyun had an original director's cut of this that had a bit more blood and guts or whatever else in there, and it's actually available on DVD, Blu-ray, so you can go check it out for yourself if you like. I have a copy. The theater version, which is a bit over 90 minutes, is more the widely known version. That's what we'll talk about today. Quick synopsis. The story starts off in a dystopian post-apocalyptic world where a mysterious plague has engulfed the world. One person has the cure or needed data to finish producing the cure. It's inside of a chip in her brain because she is a cyborg. Right, you guessed it.
I'm a cyborg. They created me to retrieve data from a computer system here.
The name is Pearl Prophet, all right? We're starting off there. She's being escorted from New York to Atlanta. But before she can even make it out of New York, sea pirates with their leader Fender are there to stop her. Van Damme's character Gibson tries to step in because he's a slinger, of course, which is basically a hired mercenary. As he describes it, it's what they do.
Get people out of the city.
And yep, quick aside, a lot of the characters are named after guitars and music companies, i.e. Van Damme's Gibson Rickenbacker or Fender Tremolo. As Vincent Klein's character says in his opening monologue,
then when it seemed things couldn't get any worse, we got the plague, the living death.
He doesn't want the cure, cuz. Another quick fun fact that I've learned recently, a lot of Klein's dialogue was overdubbed with an actor with a bit more bass in their voice.
I like this world.
Go to hell.
Been there.
A guy named Brankscombe Richmond, who's been in movies all over the place, big stunt, widely known stunt guy, who's been in movies like Commando, Batman Returns, Perfect Weapon, Hard to Kill. The reason they did this was reportedly because during test screenings, it was said a lot of the audience was laughing during the final fight instead of cheering, and the producer went ahead and did the overdub to make Vincent Klein's character feel more menacing. Big mission accomplished when you check out the movie. Anyway, moving on. Fender steals a boat and slaughters a family in the process. Kind of a gory scene, whatever. Does his thing. They head out to Atlanta. At this point, Gibson's tracking the pirates, but is confronted by our female lead, and we find out her name is Natty. She's played by Deborah Richter. Natty explains her family was slaughtered and wants to track down Fender. Gibson's all about getting Fender versus the cure because he's got a personal grudge, a real axe to bear, as we learn about later. Basically, he once tried to start a new life, give up the slinger life, I guess, settle down with a woman and her siblings. They all get attacked by Fender's gang at some point, and all are killed except for Gibson and his booze little sister. More on her later. They start tracking Fender down. And of course, they've got to have a fight or two. The fight choreography, by the way, is fairly well done. I think you're going to enjoy this, okay? Really gritty and good stuff. And Van Damme even has a boot knife. It's badass. You gotta love the boot knife, right? Now, they make it down to the South Carolina area to find Fender, but this time they are severely outmatched. Even though Gibson takes out a lot of the pirates in the process, he gets injured, shot. And realizes the younger sibling, who I mentioned before, Haley, is now part of Fender's gang. Gibson and Natty make a run for it underground, through some tunnels, but eventually get overrun by Fender's men. Van Damme's character takes on Fender, but basically gets his ass kicked. He's tired, he's down for the count, fought like 30 guys, he gets trounced.
You got knocked the
And then after that, they crucify him, throw him up on a cross, and yeah, it's as you expect, pretty gritty. And Natty comes back for Gibson, and after he knocks over the cross in a rage, she cuts his hands loose and then move on from there. Now, the final part, as you can guess, Gibson and Natty intercept Fender once again. And you'll probably scratch your head at this part if you catch it, because it's one thing that's always thrown me off. How the hell did they beat a gang that's in a boat? And these two, Van Damme and Deborah Richter's characters, are on foot the whole movie. But they beat the pirates who are on a ship going down south.
You can't make this shit up.
A fight ensues, of course, and it's the finale, and you can probably guess the victor. I won't spoil everything in case you guys want to see it. There are a couple of twists and turns here, and you want to check it out for yourself because it is a lot of fun, and it's a short movie. But during the fight, the final fight, I will say it's 80s style, a lot of double hits and cuts, and, you know, because, yeah.
It's what I do.
But all in all, pretty good. Now listen, is it one of Van Damme's best? Of course not. But is it a lot of fun? Yes. But clearly the director, Albert Pyun, had a vision, and he ended up using discarded sets from two of Cannon's canceled films, I believe Masters of the Universe Part 2 and a Spider-Man movie, not that one. So a lot of the sets play very well, and the scope of the movie is bigger than probably any other B-rated movie you've seen, at least back there for that time. It was shot entirely in Wilmington, North Carolina for under $500K. And basically that was because they had already had the sets, as I told you before, from those two movies, and Cannon had already spent over $2 million on those, so they were able to recoup a lot of the costs and make the most of it.
It's what I do.
And Pyun really does it. Some of the sets and scenes are beautifully shot. And the soundtrack's actually pretty good. It does fit the times, a lot of synths and stuff like that. I also know that it was replaced, the soundtrack was, with an earlier rock version that Pyun wanted to use. He kind of wanted to make it a rock opera, but it really didn't fit. So I'm glad the theatrical cut has the more 80s vibe. And you'll see when you watch it what I'm talking about. All in all, a solid entry in the Van Damme catalog. And if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and just go ahead and check it out when you got a little time. You'll probably enjoy it a lot more than you think you will. And if you're already a genre martial art fan, which probably you are because you're watching the channel, it's right up your alley. I really, though, wanted to take a second just to remember Albert Pyun for putting his stamp on this movie, all right? It's one that I always remember fondly. I know in his final days, his family had asked for his fans to write kind memories to him and send emails, you know, stuff like that. So if possible, let this video serve as mine. Cyborg, it's a really cool, memorable movie. If not more of a guilty pleasure from my childhood, I'll own it. Much respect to Albert Pyun. Well done, sir. But share your thoughts, guys. Seen this one? Haven't seen it? Hate it? Love it? Let me know in the comments down below. Would love to keep the conversation going. And guys, please, of course, as usual, share the content. That's how we grow, grow, grow. Let's grow, let's go. You know that's my motto, especially for 2023. Follow me on all of our links here, here, and here. Support if you like on the Patreon as well, so we can keep making content just like this for you. And stay tuned, of course, for more cool vids just like this one and some new stuff coming in the new year.
Sensational.
So I'll say it once again to you guys, happy holidays, stay safe, see you all in the next year, and of course, keep punching. It's what I do. I get people out of the city.